Ben from the future here. I'm going to put this at the front of the video so that you can encounter it first. Generally speaking, I'm curious what your thoughts were about this experiment of making videos every day. This was fun for me. It was helpful. And I know that like the stuff that I was talking about wasn't like always completely on target, like in terms of like, oh, it's about Wardley mapping or about this or that or the other thing. It's like all over the place, everything that I'm doing every day. And maybe that's interesting, but maybe not. Maybe I could be a little bit more careful about what we talk about and what we explore. But if you would like to see more of this, I would like you to let me know, because what you say will change what I choose to do next. Just let me know in the comments, and I'd love to hear what you think. All right, it's day 5 of the experiment, of the vlog video thingy. And today I'll start out with a small rant about Miro. I love loved Miro for a very, very long time. In fact, I did a guest post for them once where I talked about Wordly mapping, and I wrote it all out, and it's on their blog, and there are Miro templates. There's a template in the library for Wordly mapping that I made. They took and like all this kind of stuff, which is great. But I have been having the hardest time over the last like 6 months, I think, where things just stopped working out of nowhere. And I used to think of Miro as this like perfectly reliable thing, but it's just like selecting text would suddenly not work, or selecting items, or using the navigation, like zooming in and zooming out would stop working at random times, and I'd have to like refresh the whole thing. And I'm honestly kind of pretty tired of it. It's really sad, and I'm hoping that they like fix those problems in the long term. But it has caused me to wander a little bit from tool to tool. So I've been using Google Slides a little bit in workshops, which is great because like you can, I think, have like up to 100 people. You'd have to double check me on this, but in the documentation, like Google Slides, you can have like 100 people in a Google Slides document fiddling around and adding things and changing things, and it's great. Obviously, not perfect, because sometimes folks might conflict or like try to move the same thing and stuff like that. But you can use Google Slides for workshops, which is pretty cool. So I've done a little bit of that, and even in a large scale context. And I was about to do that again, to make a map for myself, because a call that we just did, which I'll tell you about in a second, it's like I got to make a Wordly map. Okay, where should I do it? And I was just like, I don't want to be in Miro right now. Okay, Google Slides. And then I was like, wait a minute. Tristan Slamitsky has been building this thing called MapKeep. And I've been wanting to do more mapping in MapKeep. And you can go to mapkeep.com and register and have your little account and things like that in there, and it's really great. But I think I'm gonna make a map in there, and maybe this will turn into a time lapse. I'll maybe share some commentary as things come up. But why do I want to make a Wordly map is the question. Okay, just before this, I attended a call in the Growth Trackers group, and Lex had invited someone named Brandon Rush in, who's a sales expert, has experience in educational contexts and also in real estate and things like that. Talk about sales and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, you may not care too much about sales, but it's something that I have to be better at than I am, uh, because, trying to make a living, put food on the table, things like that. And I like doing that with Wordly mapping instead of working for a company. So yeah, that's what I want to do. So he shared this interesting thing about distinguishing between different types of users, or different types of sales prospects, let's say. And really it has to do with how ready they are to buy. Some folks on one end of the spectrum are just kind of like pretty cool. They're not, really feeling the urgency. Some folks are super hot and they're ready to go and they're ready to buy. And then there's kind of like the in-between zone. So I want to think a little bit about that, because the insight I had while hearing him describe like, oh, you're dealing with people at different stages of different buying moments or not buying moments. You have to meet them where they are. So how would you need to meet each of those kinds of moments? So I want to make a map about that, and see what I can find, using a little bit of like Wordly play stuff maybe. So I'm gonna use MapKeep for that. So I'm gonna go over here, create a new Wordly map, And I'm just always like blown away by how easy it is to make a map in this. Like Tristan has done some amazing work. So like first I'll add an anchor here, and I think I'm gonna use so let's call this red, and then I'll okay, let's see. Can I duplicate this? Do. Or no, I can just drag another one on. I'll do that. Yellow and green. Okay, and each of these folks are in sort of different moments. Red is the type of people who like come find me and they're like, we need to do this right now. And just for clarity, like this is often a wordly mapping workshop or experience or something like that, which regrettably, for me has largely been custom, and I'm trying to converge a little bit and productize the offerings a little bit so it's a little bit clearer, but that's neither here nor there right now. So I'm just gonna put this here. Okay, and then one of the ways I like to do this is like to close the gap. So if I just like throw this down at the bottom, because I'm not gonna look underneath here for now, and I'm like, well, how do I connect from here up to these folks? So maybe I'll take the most direct path first. So the people who are red and need to buy have some kind of, what is the right way to think about this? Gosh, this is always hard. What do they need? I'm going to oversimplify for now, and I'm going to say that they need strategy, and I'm just including a whole ton of stuff in that. Um, so let's not. I'm not going to worry about making this more clear for now. I'll iterate. That's the advice I tell everybody else to do. I'll do it here too. So the red buyers need strategy, and they know they need strategy, and they're ready to buy. And let's say, that strategy is custom. I don't know. I think that's probably about right for now. The green folks don't even know what they need. All right, so I don't know how to make this all work yet, but here's the note that I wrote. It's like the red folks need a proposal. So Ben from the future here, my microphone died, and I was getting stuck while trying to think through this whole process. I was feeling really like I was having a hard time thinking. So I'm going to come back and revisit this, and I'm just going to do a time lapse and do some quiet thinking here, because that's often what this takes. And so we'll see what happens. I'm overcomplicating this, I think. I'm making it too wordly specific. And really, I just need to think about these folks at different like moments in the buying journey, let's say. All right, let's see what I can come up with. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what I've done here, but I think it's getting my brain working in the right way. So even if it's dreadfully wrong. It is a start. So, okay, from the top, we've got 3 moments in a buyer's journey for something like the custom-ish workshops that I make. And that green folks have little to no pain awareness, so it's not really on their radar, and they need potentially to become more aware of that pain and to begin the search for a solution to that pain. Meanwhile, yellow folks are a little further along. They're interested in, they're already doing their solution search. How can I fix this pain? And what they want are to understand their options. Should I do this or should I do that? And ultimately they need to make a choice, but that choice is going to be propped up by belief. So solution choice depends on what options they have and how much they believe in any given option. That belief might depend on evidence, and I think I count things like social proof or other kinds of evidence, I suppose, and a little bit of assumptions and feelings, right? So whatever, if it makes them feel better, they're gonna make that choice. But once they've made that choice, in this context, they're going to need some kind of proposal, some sort of document, something that like gives them a clear idea of what expectations to have. And that proposal, like at that point, they're in the red, right? They're like ready for a proposal, give it to me, so that they can make the purchase, so that they can get the solution. And then the solution is it's like supposedly what provides the benefit. And we know that no matter what happens, the solution doesn't always actually provide the benefit, but because we're doing our best, we're going to give them a shot at it, right? Even if the solution is well developed. I think that's probably pretty close. And okay, why did I make this map? I think what I need to know is what work I need to be doing when or where. That one. The setting for all this is my mailing list, where all this kind of stuff is going to be taking place. Well, I mean, not all of it, but where a lot of it. So let's start there. I'm going to nudge these things up a little bit. Oh, and there's a new feature that I can resize the Wardley map. Oh, yes, that's amazing. Okay. Praise Tristan. All right. That's so cool. Okay. Because I want to go down. And in order to cultivate pain awareness, what activities am I doing? Well, I'm probably producing content. And that content needs a distribution channel, so that's going to be the mailing list. It's also going to be... Ooh, this is tough. I always wander into like different kinds of content, things like that. So I'm making videos like this. I'm also writing things, and then I'm distributing them. And it's incomplete, but I'm distributing those things through the mailing list in various ways. Okay. So the mailing list is a distribution channel. Okay. And in the act of running a mailing list, that's like ish. I'll put it over here. Written content, hard. Like I know, like I guess it is unique. The way of writing may be less unique, but let's consider this like topical. Okay, so as in like this is content about Wardley mapping. This is pretty custom in that respect. Okay, and then that ought to be supporting pain awareness. So you notice how like I use the value chain here? It's like, yes, the things up above depend on things below, but the things below also support and prop up the things above. So that's kind of like how I think about it a little bit. And just to be clear, I put pain awareness in product because there are only so many ways of making someone like aware of the pain that they have. And I suspect I could do some research there. Okay, now if we're getting to like notes, fine. Research how to create pain awareness, and I suspect the answer is content, but I don't know. We will see. Okay, I'm just gonna knock these out over here. Drag it way out. Hello. Sometimes when I lose a packet or two in my internet, it gets a little grumpy. Okay. There we go. Okay, and then the other thing I need to support them in is their solution search. I suspect that that's also, like, I'm a one-hit wonder here. I just have content. That's all I can do. Well, that is not true. That is not true at all, because the other thing that I can do is events. Okay, I take this back. I'm gonna think of written content and video content not about Wardley Mouse specifically, but generally speaking, the act of making written content, making video content, which in that case, this stuff is all the way over here. Like, there are only so many ways you can do it. And it's pretty common at this point. Okay, that, I'm changing the definition, but it feels better and it makes more sense to me in the way my brain works. Because then I also have these events, and they're much the same. Running events are hard, but there are only so many structures that you need to run, that you need to consider in order to run them. Okay. So that's the other thing. I'm doing events. Anything else? I suppose occasionally I'm also doing coaching. I did a coaching session today with someone. Less coaching, it was more like mapping, but I think doing mapping together is kind of like coaching. So, might not be right, but whatever. Close enough. And that is that about pain awareness? No, I'm not doing coaching for pain awareness. I'm doing coaching around choice. I'm giving them evidence for the choice that I prefer, which is working with me. Okay. Which makes sense, because the further along you are in the pipeline or the journey from cold to hot in terms of being ready to buy something, maybe that's like there's more of a chance to get attention, or you're going to get coaching potentially if you're interested in learning about the choice between different solutions. So Wardley Maps might be one solution, there might be others, but I want to provide evidence for the thing that I'm good at, right? So coaching does support that. And coaching is still in product, I think, because there are only so many like ways to do it. Okay. I feel like I'm learning things right now. That's a good sign. Okay, so we've got green needs solutions, and in order to do solutions, they need pain. In order to embark on their search for solutions, they need to understand their own pain. How might they understand their pain? Events, video content, written content, all that stuff distributed through the mailing list, right? Even the events, right? We could add like Zoom on here if we really wanted to get annoying, but that's not useful, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, so we make them aware of the pain. We help them start their search for solutions. The solution search will, interesting. So the solution search is supposed to produce options, but in order for a solution search to be functioning well, it needs to have like this impetus moment, something that matters. And everyone's is pretty unique, I think. Although there are, this is like a moment in time when you notice that it matters and you want to do something about it. So I think there are a set of moments like this that could be defined, but they're not defined yet. So I'm going to leave them in custom. And I don't. How can I support that impetus moment? How can I support that? I could. Yeah. Okay. Actually, this is huge. Stories. Stories. I need to be gathering stories. Okay. Story gathering. Let's say. Which, fine. I don't need to distinguish story gathering and story is like a knowledge repository of stories or a story repository. But if I'm going to enable this impetus moment, I need them to hear stories that are similar to theirs, and that can be motivating because they took the next step. I could too. Now where do I tell these stories? I'm having some things go buzz in my head because on the one hand I could embark on like interviewing a bunch of people. On the other hand, the interviews are already done. Any map camp that's been recorded, there are talks. Okay. So stories might come from recorded talks that people have given. I suppose they could also come from testimonials. Yeah. Okay, so if I am able to source stories from various places, where do I present them? Stories need a distribution channel. Yeah. Okay, and I know it's like redundant and it doesn't quite make sense, but I'm going to consider stories like its own independent thing, and I'm going to use the mailing list for that as well. Like a story is different than written content. Like, okay, whatever. Maybe I need to be more specific, like this is like blog content or like opinion content or whatever. Not worried about it. Okay, could even be video content here too, but uh, okay. No, here's what I'll do. I'll make stories like and are these stories really custom? No two alike. I'm sure they have themes, but I'm gonna leave it in custom for now. Okay. So written content, video content comes from stories, in addition to like opinion or whatever. And y'all know I have opinions. Okay. We're getting messy down here, but still good. Still good. All right. Okay, great. So popping back up the stack, so to speak, of what we were talking about, for them to be on a solution search, to be searching for solutions to their pain, they would need an impetus. That impetus could be accelerated or like materialized by hearing stories of people like them in situations like theirs. When they're embarking on that solution search, we want them to be finding options and very rapidly catching up on what the world knows the options to be. And that's one place where I can probably inject some influence, because which options, if they're on my mailing list, right, which options are they going to privilege? They're probably going to privilege the things that I talk about, in addition to the ones that they learn about from elsewhere, right? But they're learning about worldly mapping or whatever strategy tactics or whatever other options that might be there. I don't need this node. Be gone. And they're slowly like catching up on what we all know about these options, right? Oh, and the stories can provide evidence of sorts. So I'll just make that connection. And they've got their tacit assumptions and beliefs, tacit assumptions and feelings. I'm not going to try to change those necessarily, except like over time. And then this is interesting because in order for the yellow to make the choice, I need to educate them about why the choice is believable. So it's different content. Yeah? Yeah. And here's where we get messy. Providing them with different evidence. Or with evidence, period. Okay. Lines everywhere. Yes. Okay. And yep. Okay, I think I'm gonna pause there for today. There's something to this that helps me differentiate green, yellow, red on that journey. This gives me some interesting places to intervene. It gives me a reason for doing certain kinds of content, as opposed to just the standard thing that I have been doing, which is unintentional. I guess I'll make some content. I don't know what about. What do you want to hear about? Like that kind of thing. Heh. Yep. Okay. And I think the big breakthrough for me here is that stories are important, and we need to be telling more stories for folks who are earlier in the buying funnel or the buying journey or whatever journey. I will think about that. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up this map for now. I might come back to it. Oh, let me name it. Dearest Ben, what shall you name the map? Buying journey. Okay. And just a quick thing too, I used MapKeep with someone on a call today, like for the first time doing collaborative mapping. That was pretty cool. And goes back to the whole Miro rant from earlier. I found myself wanting to map somewhere with them, but I didn't want to have to put them through any sort of like obstacle of like having to register somewhere or whatever. And so I looked at the MapKeep options, and there was an option to just like share a URL. I like had to upgrade to a paid plan, but like I did that easy. It was like $20 a month or something like that. And I was like, yeah, easy. Yes. If I'm going to be making maps with people on the regular, then I should just do this. So yeah, that was an easy decision. And I invited the person into the map that I was working on, and a lot of these calls, especially when the other person hasn't done a lot of mapping, involve me making the moves for them, adding the things, and it's like graphic facilitation, where like I hear what they're saying, the words that they say, and I'm adding those to the map, and I'm seeing how they kind of fit together, and it's like a way of like reflecting their own thinking back to them, and they get some insight from it. I think that's super like valuable, and sometimes they have like breakthroughs as a result of that. Even if they're not the ones doing the mapping, they're still the ones like driving the session, right? Because it's their thoughts, their words, and I'm just trying to express them in this format. So I find that super helpful, and today was my first time trying that with MapKeep with someone on the other end, watching in their browser as like we did work together. So that was really cool. It was successful, and I'm definitely going to do it again. So that's cool. Just wrapping up the day. Every week, David and I start with a check-in and end on like the last day with a checkout. And I work Sunday to Thursday, so that's like check-in on Monday and then a checkout on Thursday. So we were just going over everything in our portfolio, all the stuff that we were trying to, checking in on our attentions, how all of the things that we finished went. We like to check in on like how we felt about those things, and also just checking on each other and seeing how we're doing. Because, we're working remotely together, but it can be a little lonely when you're just working on stuff. And yeah, and I guess for tonight, I'm gonna attempt to do some more taxes. Well, I got my business taxes done and off to the accountant already, and now I need to do personal household taxes. Fun, 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 fun. And I've got 2 orders for the reselling that I've been doing. And I think it's like a wireless router and then a card game that I picked up at a thrift store. So I'm gonna get those wrapped up and shipped. I had a weird thing happen today where something that I shipped to someone got returned to sendered. And I called the number for the person who bought that thing, and it turns out that they were down in like a different location and didn't realize that eBay had sent it to the other old location, but they set up mail forwarding. Then mail forwarding was like, no, we're not forwarding this mail, and they sent it back to me. And so I was like, oh, what do I do? So I decided just to purchase another like shipping label and send it their way. But this is the weird stuff about like reselling and things like that. I can tell you more about that sometime if it's interesting, including my number one flips. I found something really cool. It was like a makeup organizer, and I paid like $2.50 for it, and then flipped it on eBay for like $170, and that was huge. I don't think I'll ever have a deal as good as that. So that was fun, but we could talk about that sometime if it's interesting. Anyways, that is all I've got for today. I'm gonna go do some taxes and then try to chill out a little bit. Take it easy, and I will see you around. Remember to tell me if you want more of these. Bye.